Vaišnavamscha Siropam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Govigajanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prisabhano Sukta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyahevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kaulam Nastyeva A reading from Jaiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, 7th chapter, Nitya Dharma and Material Existence. So different kinds of devotees were explained. And then also the association of the sadhus, who is a sadhu and whose association we should try to have. And so Anantadas, one of the followers of Premadas, Paramahamsa Premadas Babaji Maharaj, is answering the questions of Yadav Das. Basically then Anantadas is saying two kinds of bhaktas are there, the Grihastha bhaktas and the Tyagi bhaktas, the householders and also the renounced order of life. And so the renounced devotees, they are fully absorbed in spiritual activities, or trying their best to be absorbed in spiritual activities, in devotional activities. But then sometimes some person think that the grihasthas, they cannot become fully absorbed in spiritual activities. But Anantadas is clarifying that even householders, they can also become fully absorbed in spiritual activities. Even explaining that many Grihastha Vaishnavas are gurus who are well versed in the scriptures. So that was discussed. Yadav Das, Grihastha Vaishnavas are obliged to remain under the jurisdiction of Smarta Brahmanas. Otherwise they will have to suffer much harassment in society. Under such circumstances, how can they practice Shuddha Bhakti? Anantadas, Grihastha Vaishnavas are certainly obliged to carry out social conventions such as getting their sons and daughters married, performing ceremonial functions for deceased forefathers and other similar responsibilities. However, they should not engage in kamya karma, ritualistic activities meant only to fulfill material ambitions. So as grihastas, one has to act according to the principles mentioned in scriptures regarding to the grihastha ashram, and so as mentioned here, they have to get the children married. Of course, they have to try to make the devotees devotees. That is the most important responsibility of the householders. As mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam or in other Vedic literatures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioning Guru na sasyat, sajana sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat. And then, so one shouldn't become a guru, a father, a mother, a friend if he cannot deliver the dependents or those known to him from the cycle of birth and death. So the responsibility is there, and especially there's also one verse in glorification of the holy names. There also it is mentioned na pita na chamata na guru, what is it? Harir nama eva kevalam. And the glorification of the holy names. Sa guru sa pita mata sa bandhu vishaya shikshichit sarasmatum harir nama eva kevalam. Sa guru sa pita mata. So one should not be a spiritual master, a father, mother, friend if he cannot. So unless he will instruct that dependent, the children or the disciple, that he has to chant the holy names. So that is the Yoga Dharma, is chanting the holy names. Of course, the disciples, they have to chant the holy names in regulated ways and every day without fail, and then only he will get initiated, as Prabhupada introduced in his society. It's called that one has to chant 16 rounds, and he was emphasizing minimum 16 rounds in order to get initiated. And Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also, he, of course, in Gaudiya Math, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so he recommended the devotees to chant even more, especially those entering sannyas ashram or the pujaris. So he wanted them to chant 64 rounds, because Mahaprabhu one time said to his devotees, if you are not chanting 1 lakh, Krishna will not accept your offering. So remembering that statement by Mahaprabhu, so Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada wanted the pujaris to chant 64. But even there in Gaudiya Math, many times they don't have enough devotees, even Bhaktisiddhanta's time, and then he just told them, just chant, try to chant 16 rounds also. But if you can chant more, you chant more. And the sannyasis also, he wanted them to chant 64, but then he wanted them to preach also. As a sannyasi, they had to preach. So Prabhupada also, he tried to tell his disciples to chant more rounds. In the beginning, encouraging them, and then at one point he asked them also to chant 64, but then they could not, and he said 32, they could not, and he said minimum 16. So that is required for the initiated devotees. Sometimes Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, if the devotees were busy, especially householders, then he was telling them, if you cannot chant 16, and then you chant 8. So we have to see time, place and circumstances. But in Prabhupada's time, mostly he was stressing 16 rounds. Only we know of one instance of one devotee, Vibhu Chaitanya in Vrindavan. He was cooking for the deities. He came in 1976, and so they didn't have so many devotees here in Vrindavan at this time, and especially they didn't have so many pujaris and cooks, but somehow they managed. But then, so at one point there was a scarcity, and so this one Bengali gentleman came. He had renounced family life, he was householder, and he came practically as a vanaprasth. And so he met Prabhupada, he was Bengali. And Prabhupada asked him, do you know how to cook? He said, yes. And then he said, okay, you cook for the deities. And he was cooking nicely, and then Prabhupada said, okay, I'll give you initiation. He was already initiated, and he was cooking for the deities here, because there was a shortage of devotees. And then he got first and second initiation at the same time. And then, so he was chanting 16 rounds, but then he was doing all the, at one point there was nobody else, and he was doing all the cooking himself. Almost everything himself. And 6 offerings are there during the day. 7 with the puja, but during the puja we just offer fruits and some sweets. But in making sweets also, rasgulla, rasmalai. Anyone knows how to make rasgulla, rasmalai? Nobody knows? You know? You can make?
My
okay.
Father,
You're Bengali?
Yes.
Hello. Okay, good.
My father runs a sweet shop.
Okay, good.
So I see this
okay.
childhood.
It's not so easy, huh? Oh, you know nicely?
No, Rasgulla is easy.
Easy, okay. But for ordinary devotees, then it is not so easy. And not many want to do it. So it's a little hard work. But if you're the son of a sweet maker, it is easy. That's good. So, yeah, you should get initiated soon. And make rasgulla. Yeah, so. Anyhow, then he was making the sweets and everything, and at one point he could not chant 16 rounds. And he came to Prabhupada, I cannot chant 16 rounds. It's too much seva. And Prabhupada said, okay, just chant as much as you can. And he was chanting 8 rounds. So, maybe for 1 year or so, but then he got some help, and then eventually he chanted again 16 rounds. But for some time he could not chant. That is the only exception we heard of. Otherwise, Prabhupada was very strict that we should chant 16 rounds. So the Grihastha Vaishnavas sometimes they may be busy working, and then social obligations are there, but one has to try to have a good sadhana, even as a householder. And then Prabhupada used to say also that you don't have to work 8 or 10 hours a day. You just work a little bit so you can maintain yourself, body and soul together. As a householder, so you need a place to stay, and then the expenses are there. The wife needs saris, and right? Yeah, you need sari. Or maybe. Yeah, yes, right, yeah, okay. Many saris. So, but of course, as Vaishnavis also, the Vaishnavis know we should also not to have too many desires, but still, it is natural. And then, so then you may have gopi skirt also, right? Anyhow, in India, and some jewelry and some needs are there, and so then the husband, he has to take care of that. But even the man has needs, but maybe a little less. But as a householder, so expenses are there, so we have to work for that. Or we have to have some occupation according to Vana Ashram also. That has to be there. But one should have a good sadhana, and one should just work as much as required in order to be able to take care of the family, so that one can live peacefully. And if Krishna is in the center, then Krishna will help. Ananyas chintan tamam yajana paripasate tesham yoga tesham satyuktamam yoga kshemam bahamyaham. Everyone knows the verse? Ananyas chintan tamam yajana paripasate tesham nityayuktanam yoga kshemam bahamyaham. 9:22 or yeah. Yoga kshemam bahamyaham. So that if one is devoted to Krishna, and then Krishna will preserve what one has, and then he will carry what one lacks. So Krishna will help. But then sometimes still there is some difficulty or some scarcity. But then the devotee is depending on Krishna. He doesn't demand from Krishna, I need this or I need that. Anyabhilashita sunyam jnana karma navritam anukulini krishnanam anushriranam bhakti ruttamam. So the devotee, he will not ask from Krishna unnecessarily. I need this, I need that. So, but then Krishna, so he knows, of course, and so then he makes sure that devotees will have what they need. But then sometimes also, so Krishna will take away some things so that the devotee feels helpless, and he will call out to Krishna. Krishna, everything is gone. He took everything away from me. Now what to do? Okay, I have to surrender. Even Prabhupada, famous verses there from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. I can't remember the Sanskrit. So, that is the situation. So the devotee, he is depending on Krishna. And we are sufficient, then fine. If not, then fine also, no problem. We are well, fine. We are not well, fine. We just tolerate, and we still continue with our seva, with our bhajan, or whatever occupation one has. According to one's psychophysical nature, one should be engaged. That is important also. So, therefore, even Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, they mentioned that we have to establish Daivi Vana Ashram. Daivi Vana Ashram, transcendental Vana Ashram. Krishna is in the center, devotional service is in the center, but we act according to Vana Ashram also. So, one has to be a brahmachari or a grihastha. Or one may be then, if one has been grihastha, then one point he may renounce household life and become a vanaprast. Or then sannyas also. So, of course, sometimes one is not yet sure what to do. If shall I remain brahmachari, shall I get married? One is in the middle, bij mein. But then eventually, then it will be clear. So, but at one point he may be there between 20, one is 20 or 30. So then one may not be sure. One may try to be brahmachari, then one may then see it is not so easy. Therefore, Prabhupada also said that so after 30 one should not get married. If you cross 30, you should not get married. Actually, good point to make, right? So, but not easy. But anyhow, so that is, so Prabhupada is mentioning. Of course, it is obvious because if one is getting older, then it is difficult. So if one is 40 or 50 and getting married, it's difficult to take care of them grihastha ashram, wife, and then when you will have children, and then the children grow up, and then one is not very strong physically, then it will be difficult. And anyhow, so that is mentioned in the scriptures. So Prabhupada was following scriptures, and he was presenting scripture as much as possible. Of course, time, place, and circumstances, sometimes some exceptions are there. You have a question?
I was just saying, for example, if we are living in a devoted society and like after 40 maybe, just to get married, not to have children, not to like have always, but just to be together, hand in hand, go to Krishna. What about such marriage?
Yeah, that may be there. That sometimes man and woman become devotee, they come together and they feel, because Prabhupada said man need a woman and woman need a man. This psychological, unless one is highly advanced. So then, but then one may decide not to have children because it is a great responsibility. So it may be done. So some devotees are like that, and then they just stay together and try to be focused on service and not be engaged in sense purification. So that may be there. That is acceptable also. But that is usually also rare. But usually one is getting married, and because the desire is there for some sense purification, and then naturally then it is expected that one will have children. Even the statements are there in the scriptures. Putra hinam griha sunyam. So putra hinam, without the putra, son. Griha sunyam, the house is empty. So, and also it is mentioned in the scriptures that preferably one should have more than one child. Even one child is like not having a child. That is also mentioned by Chanakya Pandit. So that is there also. And actually what is mentioned in the scriptures by the great acharyas, it is actually very practical, and it is then very helpful. And so it is good to follow the scriptures. And usually, of course, the spiritual master is speaking according to Guru Sadhu Shastra, but some exceptions may be there. But especially also in this world we can see, so it is not so easy to maintain a family, too many children. Whereas previously, like 50, 100 years ago, to have many children, it was natural. Family means many children, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 children. In India, but even in the West, like 50, 60 years ago, it was nothing unusual to have many children. But Krishna should be in the center, God should be in the center. And then the children, they grow up together, and then, so if there's only one child, the possibility is there that the child becomes pampered, and then ego is there, and like that. But if 2, 3 children are there, then they have to share also, and And sometimes the parents are maybe telling one child to do something and then giving him some reward or something, and then so they learn to share the things, and they learn to properly respect each other, and then so that is usually considered to be more helpful to have more than one child. But again, time, place, and circumstances. So in the Grihastha ashram, one has obligations, so to say. Although Krishna is the center, but still it is some kind of material obligation or material existence is there. And then we have to deal with ordinary persons who may not be devotees. So that is there, that is almost unavoidable. But if you can be in an environment which is more spiritual, like Mayapur, where there's so many devotees, or you go to America, Alachua, they have like 700 families there. So that is more beneficial. Then it is more easy also to advance in spiritual life if you perform devotional service together with others. That is for the brahmacharis as well as for the grihasthas. When it comes to maintaining one's livelihood, everyone, even one who calls himself nirapeksha, devoid of all needs, depends upon other people or things. So nirapeksha means, so they are renounced persons who do not have any expectations or desires or needs of this world. But some needs are there. Even a sannyasi, he needs some place to stay. Of course, 500 years ago, the Goswamis, they were living sometimes in a cave or under a tree. One day under one tree, the next day under another tree. And they didn't have so many dhotis or chadars or kurtas. Just at the most maybe 2 sets. Yeah, 2. Sannyasi is like a lungi, and then uttariya, and mostly they did not even wear the kurta, the renunciants, the 2 cloth, bahirvesh, 2, and one for down and one for up. And in the winter when it's cold, then they had a thick kind of chadar. And so that was all. And one kamandalu, one water pot, to carry some water. But nowadays it is practically not possible. But still the sannyasis, they should try not to have too many possessions. And so therefore, we can see that, and that anyone in this world, so he needs the help of others, and then he can perform devotional service. And devotees, they should help each other, and so the sannyasis, they are helped by the grihasthas. So the grihasthas are helping the brahmacharis, the sannyasis, and they take care of themselves also. And for example, so the Vaishyas, so they may gain more knowledge, and they may also help grihastha brahmanas also. So they may be there also. And in return, the sannyasis or the brahmanas, they will give knowledge, and they perform ceremonies like as mentioned here. So some ceremonies are there, like marriage ceremony, then you need a priest, and usually that is a grihastha. Sannyasi, they would not do marriage ceremony. They stay away. And then, so the Grihastha Brahman is doing the ceremony, then he will get some dakshina remuneration. In this way, helping each other. Just like we have this body. So the head is there, so we're thinking with the brain, with the head, and we're seeing, and we're speaking, and we're eating. So the head is very important. But the arms are important too, right? You have to write, you have to chant japa, you have the hand in the japa mala. Of course you can just chant with the tongue, but it is recommended to have a japa mala. And anyway, you need to eat also, so you need a hand to put the prasad in the mouth. So the arms are required. And then the legs are required to go here and there. So that is there. And you need a good digestion. If the digestion is not good, if the stomach is striking, then you're in trouble also. Then you get weak. If you have diarrhea, you go to the bathroom 10 times a day, then you cannot do much. What you can do. So you need a good digestion. So the stomach is required. So in the same way, so in this material world, for any society, you need to function properly, you need the intelligent class of men, the brahmanas, and then to protect the society, you need the kshatriyas, who are considered the arms, and then you need the farmers to produce the grains and the vegetables, take care of the cows, so they're considered to be the stomach. And then you need the legs also to go here and there, and so the Shudras are considered to be the legs. They're serving the other classes. Just like sometimes the rich people or the king was not walking on the road, but a chariot was there, and there's a chariot driver there, or sometimes a palanquin was there, and they were carrying the king on the palanquin. So these are the servants they're carrying. So the legs are carrying the body. So all are required. So in the society, all of them are required also. In the material world, even in the spiritual society, it is required. So therefore we have to respect all, and we're not just seeing the body, but we see the spirit soul. Naham vipranacha narapati anapivaishana shoto naham vaninacha grihaste vanasto yatirva kintu prodyanikal paramananda paramariptam der gopi bhatta paragava das and das. We are a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu used to quote this verse. And we are not Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, but we are the eternal servants of Krishna. But at the same time, we are in this world and we have to act according to Varna Ashram. All embodied beings have needs. They depend on medicine when they become ill, on foodstuffs when they are hungry, on clothing to dispel the cold, and on a house for protection from excessive heat or rain. Nirapeksha really means to reduce one's necessities as far as possible, for no one can be absolutely independent as long as he has a material body. Still, it is best to be as free as possible from material dependency, for that is more conducive to advancement in bhakti. We should be dependent on Krishna only as far as possible, as much as possible. Only the activities that I mentioned before become free from defect only when one links them with Krishna. For example, one should not enter marriage with the desire to get children or to worship the forefathers and prajapatis. It is favorable to bhakti to think, I am only accepting this maidservant of Krishna so that we can assist each other in Krishna's service and establish Krishna-centered family life together. So, actually even in material life, so here one should not enter marriage with a desire to beget children. But even nowadays, usually materialistic persons, of course, many times nowadays they don't even get married, but they just want sense enjoyment. Therefore, they come together, men and women, for sense enjoyment. And even now in India, they wanted to pass somewhere the law that it is not really needed. Maybe in Mumbai, there is, everywhere now in India, they want to pass the law. But it's not passed, no? It passed? It is approved? Oh, really? I thought it was. What's wrong? Living relationship. Man and woman, they can live together without getting married. That is not according to Shastra. Yeah. Well, so. No, but the thing is, we have to follow Shastra, no? And according to Shastra, if the man and woman want to live together, then it should be married, right? Yeah. So you're married, right? Okay. You're married, right? You did yagya?
Gandharva.
What? Gandharva Vivaha. Acha. Okay. You're not registered in the court?
No, actually it is not official.
Okay, it's not official, okay.
Age is also not official.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. But usually it's good to make it official, according to the scriptures.
Yes.
Previously in the scriptures, you didn't have to register in the court. But there was a yagya, so that they will take it seriously, just like initiation. Initiation, then there's usually a yagya. So that, okay, yes, this is my guru, and there was a ceremony, I'm the disciple. So that is there, so that it is taken seriously, but ultimately, even before, many times, guru was, and shishya-disciple relationship is there, and they were accepting each other, and there was no ceremony. So the main thing is from the heart. But then generally, it is recommended to do a ceremony for initiation, a ceremony for marriage also, and so that one will take it seriously. And yeah, and so that is there in the scriptures, so we try to follow the scriptures as much as possible, and so that is actually for the protection. Anyhow, so that is the point actually, that it is there in the scriptures, so we try to follow scriptures. And so vivaha, samskar is there, and like Gopabhata Goswami has written a book about the different samskars. It is for purification of the consciousness, and then yes, of all those concerned. So in Grihastha Ashram, so that is there mentioned, and so that is to be followed. And then if one wants to have a child, and there is Garbhadan Samskar, and the woman is pregnant, then Pumsavana Samskar, and then Simantanayan Samskar. So for that is for the good health of the mother and the child. But samskar means to give some spiritual impression. So the child in the womb, of course, he doesn't understand anything, right? Only sometimes the embodied being in the womb, he will be conscious of God and pray to God. That is mentioned in Bhagavatam, but it is not for all, not all. But the priest is doing the samskar, and then it's explaining also to everyone. And when there's a samskar, the ceremony, then Guru Gauranga Krishna or the Ishtadev is worshipped. And then praying for the ceremony to be successful and to bless all those who are taking part in the ceremony. So that is samskar. And so the child is there in the womb, doesn't understand what's going on. And sometimes even the husband and wife, they don't know what's going on. But then it has to be explained, and then there's benefit there. And then usually then the priest is a devotee, and then he will give some guidance, so they may advance and in their spiritual life. And so this way then the blessings are there. So, yeah, so but anyway, living a relationship now is approved, apparently by the Supreme Court. So, but some people are objecting because it is not according to the scriptures. So even in the West, in like 50 years ago, man and woman living together, they had to be married. I remember one instance, I was maybe 15 years old. Yeah, so 50 years ago. I was 15, Pandra, 1-5. 50 years ago, 50 साल से पहले. So I was with my family visiting my mother's parents, my grandparents, and there was a talk. Oh, did you hear? There's one uncle is there, living not so far away, and a woman is staying with him. They're living together, they are not married. Hoi, 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 that is like... It's a shame for our family, what other people will think. So it was there 50 years ago. In the West.
Even
now.
in the West.
Yeah, even in the West. It was not possible. And then, but now it is, But then very shortly after that it was normal. And then in India, I mean, even 30 years ago it was like not possible. But now it is also common. Now it is approved, even legally. So, what to say? Yeah. Hare Krishna. So anyway, the point is that Krishna is to be in the center. And so then, yeah, if one is married, then, so that was the point. And it is there to serve Krishna, to help each other to serve Krishna. And then one may also desire to have a child, and that is normal. But then when we pray to the Lord, let that child be a devotee. So, and let us then let us help this child to become a devotee. And then Krishna will reciprocate, mostly. But sometimes karma is there also. And even nice devotees, they get a child who is not so nice for purification. Or it is just because due to previous activities, then one will get some result. Whatever one's materially attached relatives or family Whatever one's materially attached relatives or family priest may say, ultimately one reaps the fruit of one's own determination. So we have to try to be Krishna conscious, and so to always have Krishna in the center. And we must have strong determination. On the occasion of the Shraddha ceremony, one should first offer the forefathers the remnants of food that has been offered to Sri Krishna, and then feed the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. If Grihastha Vaishnavas observe the Shraddha ceremony in this way, it is favorable for their bhakti. So sometimes in India, so the Shraddha ceremony is performed, and but then Krishna is not in the center, or Vishnu is not in the center. And they may be worshippers of the demigods, and they will just do some ceremony for the benefit of the forefathers. So some benefit will be there, but then it is mentioned by the acharyas, by Gopalbhatta Goswami, that this kind of Shraddha ceremony should not be performed. But the foodstuffs have to be offered to Krishna, and the Krishna Prasad is offered to the forefathers. And therefore even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he's the Supreme Lord, but he came in this world as a devotee to show us also how to engage in devotional service, and also how to follow properly Varna Ashram, Dharma as much as possible. Therefore he himself went to Bodh Gaya in Bihar, and he offered, there's a place at the bank of the Ganges when they offer the Shraddha ceremony. So they offer something to the, and he himself went there, and it is mentioned he offered some bhog to Vishnu, and there's a place where they offer to the lotus feet of the Lord, to Vishnu, and then that is giving to the forefathers, and that is a proper way of how to observe the Shraddha ceremony. So Vaishnav Vidhi is there. And so we perform the different samskars in Vaishnav Vidhi, following Gopal Bhatta Goswami. All the smarta rituals are karma, unless and until one combines them with bhakti. If one carries out the karma which one is enjoined to perform by the Vedas in pursuance of Shuddha Bhakti, that karma is not unfavorable to bhakti. And so that karma actually becomes bhakti. So even performing any of these ceremonies, if Krishna is at the center, then it is considered bhakti. Because while performing these ceremonies, so usually when one will worship the Lord, one will hear Krishna Katha, one will associate with the sadhus, and in between one will chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So most important is the consciousness. Anukulya Krishna Anushilanam, Bhakti Ruttama, according to Krishna's desire, so favorable. One should perform ordinary activities in a renounced spirit and without attachment for the result. And one should perform spiritual activities in the association of bhaktas. Then there will be no fault. So one should be in the association of the Vaishnavas, especially those who are more advanced. Then there will be no fault. Otherwise there's a chance of a fault. Because in the beginning one is not so knowledgeable. And even one may then read the scriptures, but one will not understand the deep purport of the scriptures. But of course sometimes one may not have the opportunity to associate, but then one has to pray to Guru, Garanga and Krishna, and chant the holy names and read the scriptures, and then just like reading Rupa Goswami's books, and then just understanding that I'm hearing from Rupa Goswami. So in this way then one may also advance. But generally speaking, we need the guidance of the advanced devotees in order to advance, and even in order to take care of things of this world. So that usually we may need guidance, and especially is mentioned for important decisions in life. Then we should consult the seniors, those who are more experienced. Not simply depending on our own knowledge and understanding, but we take the advice from the seniors. Consider for a moment that most of Sriman Mahaprabhu's associates were Grihastha Bhaktas, and so were many Rajarshis, saintly kings, and Devarishis. Raja Rishi. Raja who is a Rishi. Rishi means a saintly person. So Rishi means one who is actually studying the scriptures also, who is knowledgeable. Devarshi. So Deva, Rishi. So these are the great sages. Deva also, of course, Deva they may refer also not only to the demigods, but Bhusurgan. Sur means again, Sura and Asur. Asur means demons and Sura, so that means the demigods. So Bhusurgan means the demigods of this realm, Bhumandal, Bhusurgan. So these are the Brahmanas. So they were rishis, so they made great sages, usually. So Brahmanas or Brahmanically inclined. Dhruv, Prahlad and the Pandavas were all Grihastha Bhaktas. You should know that Grihastha Bhaktas are also highly respected in the world. So we heard about Dhruv and Prahlad. So Dhruv, small boy, and he had very strong determination, so much so that that the Lord appeared in front of him. He was just 5-6 years old. Similarly for Prahlad Maharaj. So Nishingadev came to protect his devotee, was also just a very small boy, 6 years old. But then later on, although they had darshan of the Lord, they had darshan of the Lord. But then still, they got married and they became good householders. And Dhruva Maharaj was ruling the earth. And Prahlad Maharaj also, for some time, he was a king. And the Pandavas, Grihastha Bhaktas, were pure devotees. Yadavdas, if Grihastha Bhaktas are so highly respected and dear to everyone, why do some of them renounce household life? Anantadas, some Grihastha Bhaktas are eligible to renounce their household life, but such Vaishnavas are very few in this world and their association is rare. So it is mentioned that usually at some point of life, the Grihasthas, they have to try to renounce the comforts of the home, of the house or palace, and they may go to the forest, Vanaprast. Van Kior Prastan, that is Vanaprast. Prastan means to go. Van means to go to the forest. So from that the name Vanaprast comes. Vanaprast ashram, Vanaprasti. So, but the eligibility should be there also to renounce everything. So therefore, it is also it is mentioned also by our acharyas that so if the eligibility is there, then you may renounce, and even 2 counts of vanaprasthas are there. And the examples are giving also in the scriptures, like Prithu Maharaj. So he was the king and he was empowered, but at a certain point he gave the responsibility to his children and to his ministers, and he went to the forest. It's mentioned he went to the forest alone. Means leaving behind the kingdom, leaving behind his opulent dress and jewelry, and leaving behind his minister, his servants also, no servants. He went alone to the forest, and then it is mentioned, accompanied by his wife. So then his wife was there, and also she left her saris, her 50 saris, and gold jewelry and earrings and whatever, leaving everything, and just some simple clothes, and then, so this simple cloth, yeah. What is simple cloth? White cloth. Yeah. No sari, call it sari. Yeah. Cotton, no silk. And then the wife cannot ask the husband in the Vanaprast, okay, now my birthday is there, I need a new sari, I need some jewelry. No. She doesn't ask anything. She's just doing some seva, some menial seva, not demanding, I need this, I need that.
What is he doing?
What he's doing? He's worshipping Krishna.
He's serving him, he's worshiping Krishna.
Yeah, whatever small things are there. So, and then of course, so they may discuss Shastra together, but then usually there's no intimate relationship there, and Krishna is in the center. Anyhow, if one is old, what? Then you can hardly see and walk, and then, but still, of course. But Maya is so strong that even sometimes in old age you can see that. So people sometimes they want some intimate relationship, but usually after certain age, then Vanaprastha is there, and then one should focus on the seva. Krishna is in the center. But for this one must be spiritually strong. And therefore, so it is not possible for everyone. Therefore it is mentioned if one is not able to renounce everything, but at least they have to simplify their life at a certain point and try to dedicate themselves more to the service of the Lord. But then some Grihastha like Bharat Maharaj, he left everything, his wife also at home, until he left everything. And so we have to see time, place and circumstances. So only very few they are able to do that, to be completely renounced. Yadav Das, kindly explain how one can become eligible to renounce household life. Ananta Das, human beings have two tendencies, Bahirmukh Pravritti, the outward tendency, and Antarmukh Pravritti. So the inward tendency. So the Shreyas and Preyas also, that is mentioned. So the immediate benefit is there, so by one's activity, and then the ultimate benefit is there, that is the spiritual benefit. So those who are Bahirmukh, they will see the things of this world, and then they may want some enjoyment from the object of the senses. And then those who are inward looking, they will try to see the Supreme Lord, and understanding that actually we are different from this material body. We are spirit soul. The Vedas refer to these two tendencies as being focused outwards toward the external world and focused inwards towards the soul. When a pure spirit soul forgets his true identity, he falsely identifies the mind as a self, although the mind is really only a part of the subtle material body. Having identified with the mind in this way, the soul takes assistance from the doorways of the senses and becomes attracted to the external sense objects. This is the outward tendency. The inward tendency is exhibited when the stream of consciousness reverts from gross matter back into the mind and from there to the soul. So one whose tendency is predominantly outward must conduct all external tendencies offenselessly with Krishna at the center through the strength of sadhu sangha. So external, one who is predominantly outward. So that means in the beginning the sadhaka, so he has some theoretical understanding that yes, I'm spirit soul, I'm the servant of Krishna, but he's still under the modes of material nature and attracted to this material world. So he should be in the association of the sadhus, and then with the help of the sadhus he may get some strength. And he should keep Krishna in the center as much as possible. If one takes shelter of Krishna Bhakti, these outward tendencies are quickly curtailed and converted to the inward tendency. Of course, we can practically see that so quickly, as maybe not so quickly as we think. Because actually, of course, quickly, in terms of eternity, so the embodied soul has been for such a long time in this material world. So when it comes to Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of the Lord, by the process of devotional service in the association of the Vaishnavas, then relatively quickly one becomes engaged in spiritual activities, and one may be able to give up more and more external activities. But then to become completely absorbed in spiritual activities, that will take some time. And that is usually not as quickly as we maybe want. That, okay, I joined now 1 year ago and I'm chanting Hare Krishna 16 rounds, and now no more Maya, no more attraction to this material world. So one may think in this way and strive, but then in reality it is not so easy. Did you hear?
Yes.
Radhe Shyam, 8 o'clock. There's one person in the garden at 7:38, 8:30 saying Radhe Shyam. So although it's just a chokidar, is taking care of the garden from the monkeys or from thieves. Of course, only flowers are there. Sometimes even people come to steal the flowers. So he's a simple kind of person, but he's chanting Radhe Shyam, keeping Krishna in the center. So, but then still to be absorbed is not easy. When the direction of one's tendency is completely inward, the eligibility to renounce the household life is born. But if one gives up household life before this stage is reached, there is a significant danger of falling down again. Well, some of the acharyas have explained that, for example, to enter the sannyas ashram or Babaji ashram, and so one should be on the stage of bhav. So bhav is very high stage, but then practically we can see it is very difficult to come to the high stage of bhav. But at least one should be fixed. Nishta, ruchi should be there. Nam ruchi, seva ruchi. And then one may enter the sannyasa ashram or vanaprastha ashram, and then be able to maintain. Otherwise there is a chance of falling down. So Srila Prabhupada, of course, but even Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada sometimes also. So in order to, of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he was more strict in giving sannyas. But then Prabhupada, just for the purpose of preaching and inspiring his devotees, sometimes they were very young, he gave sannyas very quickly. The Grihastha ashram is a special school where the jivas may receive instructions regarding Atma Tattva, spiritual truth, and be given the opportunity to develop their realization of such matters. They may leave the school when their education is complete. So Grihastashram is also kind of education. You learn a lot if you are in Grihastashram. Yes, you learn a lot? Yeah. Slowly but surely learning, huh? Yeah, so. But of course, here again, so the main point is that one has to be in good association of the sadhus, and then one may advance in spiritual understanding and then one may be able to live also peacefully in the Grihastashram and take care of the family. So, and then the Grihastashram is not an obstacle. So therefore a training has to be there first as a brahmachari, and then one may enter Grihastashram. So then it may be called Grihastha brahmachari. Still strict, but then of course for the purpose of having children. So Krishna conscious children, then Garbhadan samskar is done. But living with Krishna in the center and try to be absorbed in the service to Krishna, and then living a simple life. And as Prabhupada used to say, simple living, high thinking. But then of course the Brahmanas are there, they may be living more simple. And then Kshatriyas may be there, or if one is a king, one has a palace, and one has many servants, and opulent clothes and dress, and so you have to see time, place, circumstances. Vaishyas, they make money, and so they also have more opulence. So you have to see time, place, and circumstances. But Krishna has to be in the center, and then one has to try to be in good association of the Vaishnavas, those who are more advanced, and then one can advance also nicely. And then 25 years Grihastashram, so 25 years of school, and then one will have learned something in 25 years. Some good experiences there. Yes. What I learned? To be humble and tolerant. And of course, actually, yes, if you are in the household ashram, and that is actually for everyone, sarva bhutehi terataha, one has to try to see that one can help others, and one has to try to see that one can actually, one is not self-centered, but one should be there to help others and to see also the needs of others, the requirement of others, for example the wife, and then one has to see the children also. And so, and for example, we of course we read the scriptures and we hear from the saintly persons, and then so whatever is mentioned here also we can see that in the Grihastashram we can learn a lot. So for example, the different samskars are there, and the purpose of the different samskars. So brahmachari may not know, but actually even the brahmacharis, for those who are preaching, they should also know. Some theoretical knowledge should be there, and then how to perform the samskars. But then there's a householder, and that is practical experience, and also seeing that in the household ashram, if Krishna is in the center, if you depend on Krishna, then you don't have to worry, and Krishna will help, spiritually speaking and materially speaking. So that will help one to also have more faith in Krishna. So I remember when I was brahmachari also. So there were some brahmacharis, I was in New York, they were selling some stickers first books were there, but then just distributing books, you cannot make some money. Then they were selling some stickers to the people. And then one devotee was asking me, so what do you do to maintain yourself? Because maybe you'll get married. Well, anyhow, I'm trying not to get married, but if I get married, I depend on Krishna. But yeah, you need money, so you have to work. And so there were also brahmacharis, but not really pakka brahmacharis. They were, and later they all got married, but they were trying to make money by selling stickers, just to make money. So of course they were chanting their rounds, but then selling stickers outside, and so it's not the best occupation. But anyhow, so because they were doing their devotional service also, so they were okay. But so the point is that we have to depend on Krishna and keep Krishna in the center. And so then later on I came to Vrindavan, and so then I got married, and then I still thought, well, let me just depend on Krishna, and then Krishna will also take care, even as a householder. But in the beginning, so then it was not so easy, because so I didn't have much money, but then I still depended on Krishna, and then I became pujari. And then my parents, then they helped also. Of course, it is also sometimes karma is there, that if you do good in your last life, then you will get good result. But then still, if you depend on Krishna, then Krishna will help. And you're able to cope even with the difficulties. But then if Krishna is providing, then the faith will increase, that Krishna is really providing. And then even spiritually speaking, so we read the books and Prabhupada's books, and then we see that actually Krishna will guide, also spiritually speaking. Then, like I read the first time the Bhagavatam, and I understood some things, and I was brahmachari, and then I didn't see anything regarding to Grihastha Ashram because I was not interested. Second, third time I read Bhagavatam, and then I see things, what he writes about Grihastha Ashram or Vana Ashram, then I could see, because I'm in that situation. So then you can see also that the Bhagavatam is actually like a wish-fulfilling tree also, just like Krishna, just helping the different persons who have different needs. So the more you continue, and even as a householder, then you can see that Krishna is there and is helping. Spiritually speaking, that you can still grow. Spiritually speaking, although difficulties are there in Grihastha Ashram, but difficulties are there for everyone. And then Krishna is also providing. Then my parents helped, and then I learned how to do yagyas, and then doing yagyas, then you get remuneration, dakshina, you get the donation, and in this way then I didn't have to work. I never had to work. But then,
also, life was good, not demanding too much.
yeah. Except you asked me for gold bangles. And you never gave me gold bangles.
Still?
No, I gave her after. Then I get my parents sent me a nice amount of money, and then, okay, here, we'll buy you gold bangles. But still, you have like 20 saris, right? 20 saris you must have? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Birthday was also some cancers. So you're not buying everything.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, good wife is there. She's a good cook also. And then usually, so then I was doing ceremonies, and then she was cooking. And in this way, also able to serve many devotees. Even now devotees, they still ask me, please come and do my marriage ceremony. Please do this ceremony, and a problem with my back. I got a slip disc, right? 1.5 months ago, I could not even sit or lie down without pain for 1 week. I had to take some medicine, and slowly I was okay. Now still I have a little pain, I have to do exercise and be careful. And the devotees, please do the ceremony. I said, well, my back is paining still and I cannot sit down for 2 hours to do a yagya. So, but then in this way, so like for more than 35 years, doing like, altogether maybe 1,500 yagyas, 1,500 yagyas, marriage ceremony, name-giving ceremony, initiation ceremony, so for the devotees. So in this way, then devotees, they are, they're helped and they are very happy. Oh, so nice. And because then after some time you become well known, and somehow in that position, by Krishna's mercy, in the temple of head pujari. So, and then devotees, they ask, and then they say, oh yeah, the head pujari did my marriage ceremony, and head pujari did the name-giving ceremony of my child. So in this way, then, with Krishna in the center, and in this way being able to serve the Vaishnavas, and then they become grateful, they become happy, and then there's a reciprocation. And then you get older, so you help others, then others will help you. And Sajjan is there, he's helping something, doing something, he's doing sometimes something, he's helping in the office, he's helping something also, she's helping something also, right? Ironing my clothes, which we never did for 30 years. Because, living simple, and then my wife busy also. And then recently, then somebody said, oh, nice, iron clothes. Yeah, okay. So in this way, we help others, then others will help you. If you don't help others, then later on nobody will help you. Unless you surrender to Krishna, then you may be helped. So, but still we depend on Krishna. So that is there. Anyhow, so even as a householder, then you can see that even though you may have more expenses, but then Krishna will provide. And you can help others, you can serve others, you can advance. And so many realizations are there by chanting the holy names, by reading the scriptures, by serving the deities, the Vaishnavas. So even as a householder, you can, as mentioned here, even so, then Vaishnava gurus are there. So one may become a pure devotee as a householder also. So many realizations are there. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna. Pujari?